Hi everybody, what's going on? Welcome to Sit Down. I'm DJ Sixsmith. Ato Essandoh is here with us. Congratulations, the code.
Thank you so much.
All right, sir.
Yeah, thank you. I'm great. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
Yeah, all
It's
right.
a pleasure to have you. We've had Luke here.
Yep.
We've had Anna.
Yep.
It's Luke's birthday today?
It's Luke's birthday today. Shout out to Luke. Happy birthday, bro. He's back in Australia, probably playing with some kangaroos. Because that's what you do.
Tennis, kangaroos,
yeah,
one of the two, one of the two things.
Yes.
So let's talk about the show because from what everybody said, it was a long process. It was a couple different versions of it.
Right.
So when did you jump into the whole thing, and why was it of interest to you?
I jumped in right in the beginning. I talked with Craig Sweeney, who is the show runner, and I used to do a lot on this show called Elementary that was on CBS, and he was one of the writers. But unbeknownst to me, he'd gone on to create the code. And so when I got that audition, I was like, well, it's a really great script, but I'm a little worried about doing a procedural and a sort of case of the week. And then I did a conference call with him, and he explained what the sort of scope of the show was, and he sold me within the first 5 minutes. I was like, I'm in. If you guys want me, I want you. So it's been an incredible process.
So when I say Trey and I say Otto, what are the differences and what are some of the similarities?
Trey, I would say he is a dyed-in-the-wool Marine. He's born and bred Marines. He loves being a Marine. I am not a Marine. I am a city slicker. I'm scared of guns.
So quite the opposite.
Quite the opposite, right?
But how did you get into that whole thing then, in terms of the preparation?
Well, so a lot of the preparation for me is because these guys are JA lawyers, right? So there's a lot of Marine lingo and a lot of jargon, some legalese jargon. So one of the things I was really worried about was being able to pull off all those lines.
Right.
Sort of straight and make it sound right and tell the story. So one of the things I did was I took some voiceover lessons or some voice coaching lessons just so I could get like my instrument. Because all the Marines and all the people in the active duty that I've met, they have a clip in which they talk and everything is crystal clear and it's concise. And you can see I just keep talking, right? But these people have a way of presenting themselves that I wanted to really make sure I could capture. So hopefully I got that.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
You had to get that world correct and then also the legal world too.
Yes, yes. And the thing is, I played like a doctor on television, right? And so, people go, is that hard? And I go, yeah, doctors have these big words, but followed by parts of the body that you get, right?
You can point to things specifically.
You can point to things and you can see how it works, right? But a lawyer, this is all in your mind. This is all legal concepts.
Yeah, zany, brainy type stuff.
Yeah, and so a lot of it doesn't make sense until you say it over and over and over again. And there's you'll see a lot of twists of phrases in what I say and what all the actors say here, where it like takes a lot for us to just make syntactical sense.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I'm sure it's pretty interesting for your family seeing you break down these types of words on TV when they never even anticipated somebody in their family being an actor.
No. We were talking before, we're a family of doctors and lawyers and engineers and so forth because we're a West African family. Yeah. That's all you can do, right? So I was a chemical engineer. I graduated with a chemical engineering degree from Cornell. And so I'm expected to go on to be a doctor or a lawyer or something. So I sort of took a completely different turn. I found acting on a dare from my girlfriend back in college, and I haven't looked back. Do you know what I mean? But it's still weird for me. I still walk on set and I go, wait, where
am I in the right spot?
Yeah.
Should I get a lab coat? It's
exactly.
Like, no,
yeah. So.
Well, it's really interesting because there are not too many people in the industry that went to Cornell or Ivy League schools. So give me some memories from when you're up in Ithaca, and what do you remember the most?
Cold.
Yeah, real cold.
Cold.
Ithaca's a cool place, but rough times up there.
It's cold. Now, I was born in Schenectady, New York, so
you knew it. Yeah.
Yes.
Ton of snow, frigid weather.
Right. Now, why my Ghanaian West African equatorial.
What are they doing going to Schenectady?
My dad was an engineer. He also went to Cornell, and he worked at GE up there.
The jobs are up there. It makes sense.
Yes.
But still, it's like, Dad,
it's cold.
Can we go somewhere else?
Yeah. My mom still hasn't forgiven him for that because she can't deal with the cold. She can't deal with under 65 degrees Fahrenheit. That's cold for her. So they're back in Ghana. They're happy.
There you go. Yeah. And they're coming up on a couple anniversaries this
year
too.
Yeah. They're going to be 50 years together.
Wow.
And they're happy. They're in Ghana. All they do is party. sometimes they drunk dial me.
Oh, yeah?
They'll be at a party.
What's a drunk dial like for mom and dad?
They'll be like, hey, son, what are you doing? And I'm like, dude, for you guys, it's 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
And my parents are, while they're healthy, they're still elderly. So you get a call at 12 midnight knowing it's like 4 o'clock.
You're going to be concerned.
I'm scared. I'm like, Dad, Mom, what's going on? And they're like, hey, what are you doing? And I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? She's like, we just want to see what you're doing. And I'm like, I'm trying to go to sleep because I'm the responsible adult.
I have work very early the next day.
Right, and my parents are drunk dialing.
They're just living it.
Yeah, they're just having
it.
a great time. So
let's talk about your career, because you've done a bunch of these CBS shows. You've done a bunch of movies as well.
Yep.
How have you built it from the point of getting that dare to where you are now with the Code?
I have it's been a dogged amount of work and a lot of luck. I say luck is that old adage when skill and opportunity meet.
Yeah, definitely.
And I've been sort of dialing up the skill and trying to dial up the opportunity. Living in New York, I've got a great team around me, my agent, my manager, everybody who's represented me. And I think I've made some good inroads that people sort of trust my ability and want to work with me. So it's been really, really lucky. It's been an uptick all the time.
Yeah.
So hopefully I'm going to knock on wood somewhere.
Well, you have some good movie credits in there too. I was going through your IMDb, like, how about Hitch? Let's start with that one. I mean, like, Will Smith at his peak. Like, give me something from that you still remember.
I remember there's this one time where we have a scene in a cab. It's just me and Will, right? And he is what everybody wants Will Smith to be. He is literally, legitimately a genuine, awesome person. I got to interact with him just a little bit.
Right.
It's not like we're best friends, but I was like, this guy is incredible. And so Hitch, we were filming Hitch at the same time that what was it, iRobot? No, was it iRobot or one of his big movies, right? And I'm sitting in the cab with him as we're shooting down on, I think it was like Broadway, and we're just going down. And just me and him, we're rapping in between the scenes. And the car stops, and it just so happens there's like a 50-foot picture of Will Smith on a building, right? Just there. And he doesn't see it. And I go, hey, Will, check that out. He just kind of looks at it. He goes, yeah. And I'm like, what's that like? To be the most recognizable human being on the planet.
In the biggest city in the world.
Yeah. One of my favorite stories, just a quick one.
Sure.
So we were shooting these scenes in tandem. I had one set and he was shooting his stuff on the other. And New York, nobody really cares about stars, right? Everybody just walk right past you. But like Will Smith, once people in the neighborhood heard Will Smith, they started pouring out of the buildings, right? So he's like this big magnanimous guy, right? So he's got a whole crowd around him. He finishes shooting the scene. He's walking through the crowd. He's shaking hands, but then he disappears, right? And then it's just me standing, right? And so I got what I call the Will Smith residue, right? They were like, we don't have Will Smith. Well, who are you? And then people just started hugging me because I was acting with Will Smith.
Here.
They were like, yeah, cool.
Like, he's with Will?
Yeah, I'm signing autographs. They don't know who I am, but I was with Will Smith. That's
a great memory there.
I love that one. I love that one.
So that movie really had some legs after the fact, too. Like a really nice little bounce. When do you think it started to have that uptick?
Oh, man. I think like I did things like Garden State. I think that there's like little things that I've done along the way that people keep remembering, like nice turns in movies that like keep sort of like elevating my, I guess, my notoriety or whatever. So it's, I would say Hitch, I would say Garden State, I would say once I started doing like Elementary on CBS and started becoming this recurring character on 2 different shows, so Elementary and Blue Bloods. Thank you, CBS.
Yeah, you're the CBS guy. I mean, you've been bouncing around, but that's like a very similar audience.
Right.
And so if they see you in Blue Bloods and Elementary, like, that's Ato. Right. And same thing with the Code. It's like, oh, it's the guy from Blue Bloods. That's a good thing to have.
It's good buy-in.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
So you've done the shows, a couple of the movies. What about Blood Diamond with Leo? I mean, that must have been a really interesting experience.
Yeah, he was also a really great guy. I remember him telling just a story about how hard he'd been working, right? I mean, he was like sort of a child actor, and he was telling me how, when his mom would drive him around LA to auditions, and we just think of Leo as like this huge movie star, and that's all he's been. And he's like, no, dude, I've been working at this for a long time, and it was like nice to know, because it was at the time where I was like, where's my career going? Am I ever going to be able to really make a living off of this? And then to hear somebody like Will, same thing, and Leo, same thing, like just to say like it takes a lot of dogged work and a lot of relationships and connections and a lot of luck, and then suddenly, like he said, suddenly I was in Titanic, and that was it. And I was like, that's good to know, you know?
Yeah, and even for a guy like that, think about how long it took him before he got an Oscar.
Yeah.
And you saw it front and center how hard that guy works.
Right.
And you would think at some point over any of those movies he'd get the award, but still, he had to go through everything just to win that award.
Yeah, and that's the nice thing about, like, I've gotten the opportunity and the luck to work with people like Will and Leo and Meryl Streep and so forth, and you think that these people at their height don't have to do anything.
Right.
But all of those people are like the first onset, the last offset. They work hard. What I loved about watching Leo work, he had to get this South African accent down. So he was always working on it. He was always getting into character. He never seemed lazy to me. He always wanted it. So it gave me a lot of inspiration watching. Like a guy like Leo, what do you need to do anymore? He's like, no, I still need to do this.
He still needs to prove it.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, that's great. Yeah,
so that's really interesting.
Yeah.
How about Django? I mean, that movie was just intense and insane. So just take me back to being on that set, and how did you go through that each and every day? Because it was a very visceral thing to watch.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what it was like to work that each day.
It was weirdly fun. One of the things I remember, the audition I went on, and when I finally met Quentin Tarantino, who is one of my favorite directors ever. I mean, one of the reasons I love movies is this guy. And he was making jokes all the time on set. He'd be like, you know, when you get there, you're going to be in this emotional state this whole time, and I need you there because we're going to shoot this whole thing over a week. And I was like, I got you, right? So I'm up in a tree, there's dogs, you know, I'm about to die, and he's making a joke every time he starts to
seriously.
Seriously, because he also wants me to not sort of be focused on one sort of aspect. He wants to see the full human being. And this guy shoots every single angle. And so, like, I love a director who, if he's hired you or she's hired you, she trusts that you are the one who's going to be able to do the job.
Right.
So they're not going to tell you how to act. They just want you to be present in the moment. And that's what I really appreciated working with Leo was on that too.
Yeah, he was. That's right.
That's another example. Like, he was like, dude, Blood Diamond. I was like, yeah, man. And then now watching him work on this character, and I go, this is 10 years later, and this guy is still working his butt off, which was a lot of fun. But I'm going to tell you one real quick thing about the dogs.
Keep it going, yeah.
So my character was, his name was D'Artagnan, and he's a slave who gets caught and eaten by the dogs, and it's a really horrible scene. But I love dogs, so I did the stunt. And let me tell you, these dogs are about maybe 150-pound dogs, right? They're like German Shepherd dogs, right? And they had all this padding on, and the way they do this trick is they have these knee pads that if you stick it in the dog's mouth, the dog's just going to play with it. It's like, right? And so then it's me sort of doing all this motion while the dog is clamped on. And so there's like thick leather and all this stuff. But when you feel that dog bite, it's insane. I'm a 200-pound man, and that dog, those three dogs could just drag me around.
Those big dogs.
Yeah. So the stunt people saw that I was comfortable with the dog, I could do the stunt and all that stuff, and they were like, great, we need a safety word just in case, because there is a situation where if you're like struggling so hard and the dog has to release, it might not reattach in the right place where you don't have pads, and then that's a problem. So if you see that happen, we'll call cut. And I said, okay, here's the safe word, pickle, right? So, and Quentin wanted me to yell everything under the sun. So I said, if you guys hear me say pickle, we're in trouble, right? So we're going through the scene, and suddenly the dog here, I see it in slow motion in my mind, releases. And I'm going, oh my God. And then I look and see the dog's like mouth is not on me, and I go, pickle, pickle, pickle. But then the dog reattached in the right place. So I kept on with the scene because I'm a pro, right? And I'm like, yeah. Quentin calls cut later, and he goes, okay, that was great. And the stunt people run up to me and go, did you call pickle? I was like, yeah, I called pickle, but then the dog reattached in the right place, and I felt I was safe, and I went through the scene. Now all these tough stunt guys are looking at me going, that was pretty badass.
That's
man.
legit.
I was like, thank you. Thank you very much.
Was that like, have you done other stunts before?
No, well, I've done like fight scenes.
Little things, but nothing like this.
Nothing like that.
Oh my
nothing
gosh.
like that. Yeah.
So they must have been a little surprised that you were willing to do something like this.
Yeah. I think it's because of my love of dogs.
I got you.
Right?
If it was
cats,
anything else, no, cats, no way.
No.
But those are just some awesome stories, and it's like you can build on this with the code now.
Absolutely.
Like you got a lot of cool stories, and
Yeah.
when you look at your career now, like what are other types of projects you want to get involved with?
I just want to do more of this. I mean, one of the things I love about the code is it's really well written, well constructed, and it's also a great group of people like Luke Mitchell and Philippa Sue and Anna Wood, Dana Delaney, Rafi Barsoumian. They're all really lovely people to show up with and work and play with, and I've had really good opportunities and really good experiences in my career when I'm always walking onto a set with really lovely people. So that's really what I care about. I loved talking and telling great stories. I think we're telling a great story here.
Definitely.
And I think that'll just hopefully continue for me.
And it's just a golden age of TV right now
Oh
with
my
everything
God.
going on. Like,
Yeah.
what are some of the things you're watching? I love to ask people what they're tuning into right now.
Well, right now it's Game of Thrones. That's all I'm
I
watching.
never got
right now.
into it. Everybody in the office is talking about it.
What's wrong with you, man?
I just couldn't do it.
Why?
I don't know. It just wasn't my thing.
Dragons?
People getting killed, weird languages.
Swords?
It wasn't my thing.
No.
And now people are talking about it. I'm like, I have no idea what's going on.
Dude, you must start from
I'm
season
too
one.
far behind.
No. Start from season one, and I'm telling you, I've met people like you. I've met people who were like, I've never seen Game of Thrones, and I was like, just watch the first season. Do me a favor, and if you don't keep watching, I will shut up.
All right.
Guarantee you will keep watching.
Well, you know what's funny is that I was flipping through the channels one year, and the Red Wedding episode came on.
Oh, yeah.
And like that was my first time looking at the show, and I was just like, holy crap.
Dude.
Like listen, I was interested, I was intrigued,
yeah.
but like I had no idea what was going on.
Oh.
So imagine me jumping into that episode.
That's not the episode you
No,
want to jump
definitely
into.
not.
You want to build up to that.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, man.
Well, that's a great ringing recommendation
Yes,
for that.
sir. Yes,
so
sir.
I got Game of Thrones, I got The Code, plenty of good stuff to watch.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Otto, thanks so much, man.
Pleasure, man.
It's been awesome.
Nice to meet you.
You can catch The Code on CBS every week. Mondays now, right?
Mondays now.
Monday. So tonight and Mondays going forward. We'll
right.
see you next time here on The Sit Down.
Peace.